don't think I've ever met anybody like Isobel Withers, Fru, McWhinnie, Nee, Hume, ever. When God made her, he broke a mould. One of name's enough on this earth.
Hi Mum, this is a film for you. It is what had you so curious for the last couple of months. It is a celebration of your life. It is a chat with all of those people that have shared and lived your life with you. And it is my way of saying thank you to you for being the best mum that anyone could wish for, really. So this is for you.
Isobel was born in 1949 at Storyburn.
Everything was great for them because they were just a young couple and their first baby. Their dad's Crichton was over the moon, this wee bundle of joy they had. Just a year after that came the sister.
There was one time that my mother told us about that we had nice wee white pleated skirts and we were going somewhere, I can't remember where we were going, and it was raining and me and Isobel were doing sun puddle. So she had to change us and give us a skirt for that.
I was the third oldest. Yeah, but I always remember Isobel eating all my sweets. Of course, they followed behind.
When they moved away, we didn't see as much of them because they were away, went to another third in Cumnock.
Our life in Cumnock, it wasn't a hectic life, but we enjoyed it because it was a nice place to live.
And was it Wiley Crescent we stayed, but I was very young at that time. I was only 3 when we left there.
And they had a good upbringing, then they were happy and they all had their own friends. Isobel set quite strict rules for them, which was good. Didn't do them any harm.
But then too, my mother would go out and play skipping ropes and things like that with us as well.
There was a big railway viaduct that we used to play on and under. And the trains, we remember trains going over it, but we always got a row for going up near the railway lines.
Up under the viaduct, we used to go girdling for fish, and it was nice times there. We arrived at Cannock, and then the removal van arrived.
My mum hated the house. She absolutely hated it.
The van was partly unloaded, and Mum says, "Where's the toilet?" So everybody's looking for the toilet upstairs, downstairs, and about. Couldn't find it, and we found it at the bottom of the garden. My mother, ballistic.
My mother actually told the furniture people to put the furniture back in the van, and she was going back home.
When it was driven through the pits were closing down, and my dad was going to be out of work.
They came back up, settled in Blackburn, but didn't like it, and ended up back full circle to Storyburn.
This is what Isobel told me the first time she saw me. I was arriving at, I think it was 46, and they're looking out the window and he ran. Knee-high red vinyl boots, skirt up to the arse, just going, oh my God. That's great in the barrel now.
Moran has been our very best friend.
Well, God, I mean, we were forever at parties. There was always one on the weekend. Whether it be in your sort of home area or in the hospital.
You used to get about 10 shillings a week for your pocket money, and it took you to the dancing 3 times a week. And still had money left there.
We were all kind of hippies. Long hair, woolly hood hair.
And it was mostly Tamla Motown that they played up there.
It was music in those days. Remember the music in those days? You used to go to dancing and it was music. Bands played and people danced.
The first time I met Isobel, out and onto the Blackburn bus after the dancing, and Isobel was sitting in front of us with a big coat on. Got chatting, and that was the first night we ever went out together. I still remember the platform, so boots, the maxi coat. But when you took the maxi coat off, she had a skirt on that was 2 inches long. It was the same width as the belt. The belt and the skirt were the same.
Yeah, pale knit really.
She looked damn good in mine. Nice legs.
Yeah. First impressions of Isobel. Just exactly as she is now. I'm terrified of her. Always have been.
I can't remember how long ago it is since I met Isobel, and I remember she had a nice, long coat on. She let me try it on.
Isobel and I agreed to meet you and Anne in Edinburgh one night. We met on Rose Street. Anne made these waistcoats. I'll never forget the vision coming towards me.
I remember the waistcoats.
Emerald green felt.
It was a 3/4 length job.
Fringe.
It was fringes. And we had one to match each.
Well,
And Isobel and I stood watch this coming along Rose Street, and I thought...
and you think at the time, you think, that's pretty cool.
I mind of one time going to the Polly.
I met her in the railway inn one night before the Polly, and
I met her
Maggie
outside.
Feely
That's
was
right.
and they stole a bottle of whiskey out the cleaner's room.
Of course, Margaret Feely wouldn't take it home, whereas Isabel says, well, I'll take it. So she stuck it, I had a typewriter in a wooden box. So she took the typewriter out the wooden box and sat it on the dressing table and put the bottle of whiskey in the wooden box.
Isobel made the mistake of taking it home and hiding it in the wardrobe.
Right.
One day my mother had said, I'm going up to tidy up the wardrobes. And of course, Werner had a canary. No, I'll do. And she ran upstairs, and of course she's upstairs and she's trying to hide. So of course my mother opened the wardrobe doors and she went, what's in that box? And she went, it was your Ice's typewriter, and pushed it back in.
If America and Russia had started the Third World War, it wouldn't have been as bad as Isa finding that bottle of whiskey.
Isobel and Willie were going with each other for a period of time, and they did sort of drift apart. I've no idea why or what happened.
Can't remember why we split up, but it would have been my fault, and I'm quite sure if anybody asks Isobel, she'll say it was his fault.
she'd been at the doctor, this totally inept doctor up in Stonyburn, and he was treating her for a urine infection. And eventually, when she realised she was pregnant, she'd said to him, and he did the test, and she says to me, remember that urine infection? I said, yeah. She says, well, it's got arms and legs. And she phoned me from the hospital. You couldn't have been 3 years old at the time. She says, and you're going to hate me. I said, why? I've decided to call her Jenna. I thought, you little shite, you. Oh, bugger it, I was mad.
Oh, she had this lovely wee lassie. She's a wee beauty.
I can remember when Jenna was born, it was sort of pandemonium. Everything was upside down because there hadn't been a baby in the house for many, many moons.
Anne watched you while Isobel went back to nursery, went to work after you.
She had to work, that was the thing, you know, and I don't think she got to spend as much time with you as she wanted to. But at the end of the day, in order to feed both of you, she had to get work.
I think it was Wallace I met one night at Maryhead Hotel.
I remember sitting in the corner talking to him, and he'd asked me if Isobel was still single or whether, and indeed she was.
It was like we'd never, broke up. Really, it was good. It was natural. It was really, really good. It's funny when you enjoy something. When you look back on it, it's always summer. When I look back on it, it was always summer. And even when it was snowing, it was just like summer anyway. It was great. It was wonderful.
There was a lot of kind of worry about him initially in the first couple of weeks of him being born. He was kept at the hospital for quite a bit. He was tiny. He was just like a tiny little doll.
He was such a wee thing. And you'd be quick to pick her up He was lucky he didn't go right over your shoulder because he was so light, you know. Oh my God.
I think from day one he's been my little booty to protect.
Going to the chapel and we're gone.
Anne Lossall was the best mate. TC was the best man.
I think I was there, aye. I think I was there. I was the best man, yes, that's it.
All the outlaws and in-laws were there. We had a fun day and the reception was in my house in Denbridge. I remember that well.
At the end of the day, it was just nice, you know, sort of they'd been together, split up, been back together. And it was as if they had sort of overcome all the odds, you know.
It seemed an adventure for them, I think.
It was a strange feeling because you didn't want Henry to go away.
I fervently hoped that it would all pan out for them.
I remember when you and Isobel came down, and that was me, I was burst. I was burst. And Isobel sort of said to me at the time, don't you start, or you'll start me, but I was gone.
I had this expectation that we would arrive in South Africa and it would be this African savannah.
I guess you kind of think jungle and elephants and lions in your garden type of thing, because it's Africa.
It was a real eye-opener for us. I'd lived in Africa before, so I kind of knew what to expect.
It was a bit of a shock to the system to start with, but we kind of soon got used to it.
Well, Isobel used to really keep in contact with us, send us letters regular as clockwork.
It's probably because she had nothing better to do but sit and write 6-page letters to people all day.
They would get a letter off to her, and within a couple of days they'd get one back from her, and she would hardly give them a chance to actually live some life and tell them some stories.
So I would write her a big long screed, post it off. Holy God, return the posted me this letter back. I think, I haven't got time for this.
I remember having nice, good chatty letters with Aunt Isobel, good old gossip.
She was always the hard one. I'll take my hand off you, get it.
Mum was always the strict disciplinarian one growing up.
She always gave them that. You're no getting it, you're no greet once more. And they never great.
She had a thing called the look.
When the kids were wee and they were going, she went like...
She had it down to tea because she was my mother. Over the back, as they used to say.
It could stop us in our tracks in an instant.
I've received it myself on a few occasions, and it's like Superman's X-ray vision. It goes straight out. You can feel the heat coming at the back of your head thing. I better go now, I'm in trouble. It was the greatest move we ever made, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
We had some fantastic times in South Africa. We didn't go out of South Africa for holidays. Holidays were kept within South Africa because it was too expensive to travel anywhere by air anyway. So there was mostly road trips. We would go away to the dam. Lots of people would have barbecues at the dam and go swimming and go on a little, little boat that somebody owned.
A lot of great times. We did a lot of good stuff together. Had some really great weekends, golfing weekends in Swazi. I remember well. We stayed in a few different places wherever my work went. We moved. The kids always got a good education. We always had meat on the table. Always had a cold beer. Life was good.